Before we start the show, let's hear from one of our sponsors. Their support keeps this show free for you. Hey there, Peace and Parenting family. If you love the podcast but wish to enjoy it without interruptions, your wish has come true. Introducing the ad-free version of the Peace and Parenting podcast, available exclusively on Apple Podcast. As a subscriber, you'll get all the heartfelt advice, parenting stories, and actionable tips you love without any ads. For less than the cost of a coffee each month, you will enjoy uninterrupted listening while also supporting our work to help you build stronger connections with your kids. Try it out for free. Simply find Peace and Parenting on Apple Podcasts, click Try Free, and you'll gain immediate access to our ad-free episodes. There's no commitment and you can cancel anytime. So if you're ready for a more peaceful, uninterrupted listening experience, subscribe now. Let's keep focusing on connection without the distractions. Thanks for joining me on the Peace and Parenting podcast. I'm so glad you're here. Welcome to the Peace and Parenting podcast. I'm Michelle. I'm glad you're here. I want to talk about the idea of over-functioning and just what that means in parenting. Over-functioning is something I think that many of us fall into, right? And is over-functioning for your child doing them a service or doing them a disservice? I think in the long run, and in most cases, over-functioning for our children is doing them a real disservice. And what I mean by over-functioning is, sometimes it's just easier to put the socks in the hamper. Sometimes it's just easier not to make them take the garbage out. Sometimes it's easier to just tell them how to do their homework instead of really allowing them to struggle through their homework. Sometimes we are doing things for our children that we know they can do because it's easier. On the other hand, sometimes we do things for our children because we don't want the upset and the fallout of quote unquote requiring them to do things that are hard. Like for instance, Esme lives in Oregon now. She's from California, but she lives in Oregon and she's going to the University of Oregon, and she needs to get an Oregon driver's license because she's going to register her car in Oregon, and we're trying to get her residency in Oregon. And so all this stuff is going on. And I said, okay, when you're in Oregon, I need you to turn in your California license and get an Oregon license. And she said, okay, no problem. She's all excited about it. She researches online. And then she calls me and says, I can't do it. You have to do it for me. And my response was, I understand it's a lot of work. I get it. It's not easy. You're going to have to take an Uber to the DMV. You're going to have to fill out this paperwork. You're going to have to do all these things. But you have to do it as. And she is furious. Texting me she can't, saying other parents do it for their kids. And why would I just make her do these things, and I'm not supportive and I'm not kind because it's hard. It's not easy. Listen, I don't want to go to the DMV either. I don't want to fill out some paperwork either. I don't want to do any of that. And I'm sure she doesn't either. But instead of researching which form it is and, getting online to the DMV and figuring it out for her, she's 19 years old. She's very smart and very capable, and she can do it. She just doesn't want to do it. And I understand. I don't want to do it either. So I've told her that she has to do it. And I haven't been unkind about it. Some people who overfunction for their kids believe that they're being unkind if they don't do everything for them, right? And then it kind of becomes almost, this bulldozing, like helicoptery, I'm in charge of everything. But you can say no, and you can set a limit in a very calm and kind way, like I did with Ez. Ez, I know it's a lot of work, but you have to do it. This is your responsibility. And then she goes off. No, I don't want to. No, so-and-so, this and that and the other. And she has all her feelings around it. And I don't cut those feelings off or deny those feelings, but I also don't fix it or do it for her for two reasons. One, I don't think I actually can because it is something she has to do. But two, what am I telling her if I do it for her? What am I saying to her? Am I saying, I don't think you're capable? Am I saying you need to rely on me to take care of your things? Am I saying, you're not old enough or capable enough to do the thing for yourself? What message am I sending when I take over and just do it because it's easier, or do it because I don't want to hear the fallout or the feelings? So I think there's a lot of learning and processing and parenting actually that go on, even with our adult children. Now, if you don't have a kid who needs to get a driver's license, it can be the kid who doesn't understand their algebra homework and they need help with their algebra homework. And how can we be helpful and supportive and also give them the expectation that they have to do the work themselves? And when we don't, what is this saying to a child? You're not able to do it. So I think this overfunctioning happens for several reasons, and it also hinders the development of our children.
We're hitting pause for a moment to thank our sponsors. These brands make sure you can listen to this podcast for free. If you're a parent, you get it. There isn't time to research every single product you use in your home. That's why you need Blue Land. They're certified, safe, and clean by the EPA, and they get the job done without worrying about the impact they're having on your family, your children, or on you. Blue Land is on a mission to eliminate single-use plastic by reinventing cleaning essentials to be better for you and the planet with the same powerful clean you're used to. Just fill your reusable bottles with water, drop in the tablets, and wait for them to dissolve. You'll never have to grab bulky cleaning supplies on your grocery run. I'm always running out of room for extra bottles, and this makes things so much easier. Plus, Blue Land products are effective and affordable with refill tablets starting at just $2.25. Blue Land products are independently tested to perform alongside major brands and are free from dyes, bleach, and harsh chemicals. And Blue Land is trusted by over 1 million homes, including mine. Celebrate Earth Month and make the switch today. Get 15% off your first order by going to blueland.com/peace. You won't want to miss this. blueland.com/peace for 15% off. Are you a mom who feels like you're juggling it all, but something just feels off? It could also be your hormones causing this chaos. Hormone Harmony contains science-backed herbal extracts called adaptogens. Now, here's the beauty of adaptogens. They help the body adapt to any stressors like chaotic hormonal changes that happen naturally throughout a woman's life. That's why Hormone Harmony is perfect for women of all ages who are struggling with life-disrupting symptoms such as PMS, like irritability, moodiness, discomfort, or uncontrollable cravings, and menopause with symptoms like hot flashes and night sweats. The results are impressive. There are over 40,000 reviews on their website. Women cannot stop talking about it on social media. A bottle of Hormone Harmony is sold every 24 seconds. So for a limited time, you can get 15% off your entire first order at happymammoth.com. Just use the code PEACE. Check out happymammoth.com. Use the code PEACE for 15% off today. Okay, back to the episode.
I think Maria Montessori put it perfectly. I can't remember the exact quote, but she just said something like, don't do anything for a child that you know they can do themselves. And I truly believe that. And she really believed in children would clean up after themselves and they would pick the activity for themselves. And it gave lots of autonomy and it gives self-esteem. Like if Esme can go to the DMV and do this thing, get this right paperwork, take it. And by the way, I've gone to the just recently I went to the DMV to get my real ID and it was a nightmare and I did it wrong and I filled out the wrong paperwork and I was there for a long time. Additionally, Pia got her permit. The first time we brought none of the right paperwork. We had to go back home, do a new appointment and redo everything. So it is part of the learning process and it is part of being an adult. And it is part of their development to do these things that are developmentally appropriate. Esme's is this 19-year-old, more adult thing, whereas the kid learning algebra is more like, a middle school-aged thing. But these instances happen everywhere. Even when Maria Montessori says, never do anything for a child they can do themselves, she's talking about preschool kids. Preschool kids can put their jacket on by themselves. They can put their coat away. They can pick up the book and decide which one they want to read. All kids in development, in their own development, encounter places where they can do for themselves, where we have really overdone or overfunctioned for them. And that overfunctioning doesn't really do them any favors. So my biggest suggestion to people is try to look at your life with your kids and say, where is it that I can require my children to do some things? Now, I'm not necessarily just talking about chores. I'm talking about just everyday experiences, shutting the door, picking up their paper that fell on the floor. It can be really small things. It doesn't have to be these big monumental things. And when we require our child to do that, I think it really builds their self-esteem and their self-reliance because we want them to rely on themselves. Now, if I went to Esme and said, I found the paper for you. Here's the DMV in Eugene. You can call an Uber at this time. I made you an appointment. I mean, I could really get in there and get it done for her. Probably. I don't really want to, but I could, right? You could be that parent. What happens when she actually needs to do it herself in 3 years? And she's 23 and she's having the same meltdown at 23 or 24 on her own. Maybe she's not even in Oregon. Maybe she's halfway around the world. Who knows? And she has to go to a consulate or a DMV or some sort of, public place to get something done, some sort of bureaucracy, the Social Security office, something. Is she going to have this big meltdown when she's 23, 24, or 25? And wouldn't it be better for her to have the meltdown early in life, learn early in life how to take care of herself, learn that she can recover, grasp the idea that she is self-reliant, create that self-esteem and that resilience and that grit that all people need so that she can take it forward in her life. And I guess that's really what overfunctioning keeps our children from doing. So if I have any suggestions for you, it's just to find places where you can encourage your child to take care of themselves. It can also, we've talked a lot about on this show, it can be showering. It can be brushing their own teeth. It could be taking responsibility for themselves. So you're not doing it for you. I see a lot of parents brushing their kids' teeth for them. And sure, at 2 and 3 makes sense. But 6 and 7 and 8, kids can brush their own teeth. And we can require that of them with play and connection and with, using our influence and our relationship. And if our relationship is good, if our relationship is healthy, then we're more able and apt to get a cooperative answer from our child. Now, with Esme, I'm not getting the cooperative answer yet, but I'm banking on our relationship to help me get there and my empathy. So when kids are having a hard time doing one of these tasks, really supply them with empathy. I know it's really hard. I know, algebra, man, it's tough. But don't scooch back so much that then you just end up doing it for them, because I don't think it's doing them any favors. You want to move forward in supporting them, but not helping them so much that you're doing it for them. You don't want to bulldoze all of the obstacles out of the way. You don't want to helicopter around every experience that they're having so that they are more reliant on you than they are themselves. And I guess that's the bigger picture, right? We want them to be self-reliant, and they can do that with our support. We don't have to walk away completely. We don't have to turn our back on them. We don't have to say, I'm not helping you at all. We can help them process the feelings around it. We can be their supportive person without doing it for them. Okay. I hope that was helpful. Got on my soapbox a little bit. Thank you for joining me for the Peace and Parenting podcast. And I'll see y'all next time.
Hey there, Peace and Parenting family. If you love the podcast but wish to enjoy it without interruptions, your wish has come true. Introducing the ad-free version of the Peace and Parenting podcast, available exclusively on Apple Podcast. As a subscriber, you'll get all the heartfelt advice, parenting stories, and actionable tips you love without any ads. For less than the cost of a coffee each month, you will enjoy uninterrupted listening while also supporting our work to help you build stronger connections with your kids. Try it out for free. Simply find Peace in Parenting on Apple Podcasts, click Try Free, and you'll gain immediate access to our ad-free episodes. There's no commitment and you can cancel anytime. So if you're ready for a more peaceful, uninterrupted listening experience, subscribe now. Let's keep focusing on connection without the distractions.